I'm Inês Barbosa. I'm the head of portfolio management at RxCelerate, and this is Smartsheet Unlocked with Productive.
My name is Rich Coles, founder and managing director of Productive. Welcome to Smartsheet Unlocked, the show designed to help people get the most out of Smartsheet, whether just getting started or already power users, where we bring you insights and real-life examples from Smartsheet everyday users, overachievers, the team developing, and the people within Smartsheet. Ultimately, our goal is to inspire people to achieve better outcomes leveraging the fantastic platform that is Smartsheet to help transform execution and unlock potential, be it organizationally or personally. We've been sharing tips and tricks on YouTube since 2021 and working with fantastic people from around the world. So we thought it about time we brought some of these people to share their stories. I'm delighted to be joined today by Inês Barbosa, Head of Portfolio Management at RxCelerate. I first met Inês in 2023 when she and her counterpart, Gundeep Singh, were looking for a project and portfolio management tool for their business and had shortlisted Smartsheet. I clearly got very excited as I know the impact a tool like Smartsheet can have for a project management office in the healthcare and life sciences sector, having worked in both myself. And that was the start of a wonderful working relationship between the Productive team and RxCelerate. So I'm delighted to welcome Inês to Smartsheet Unlocked to share her story so far. Inês, welcome.
Thank you, Rich. It's a pleasure to be here and be part of this.
Well, I've been trying to line this up for a while. So let's just start. Your name. I always love names. Inês. Now, I'm a Spanish speaker, and when I first saw your name without the accent on it, I was very excited. I thought, was she Spanish? Barbosa? But you're not a native Spanish speaker. Where are you from?
No, I'm not Spanish, indeed, even though the name, you also have it in Spain. I'm Portuguese. I do speak Portuñol, but probably any Spanish speaker would say that it's not proper Spanish.
And I've just actually recently been to Portugal and I try speaking Spanish in Portugal or trying to pretend to do a Portuguese accent with my Spanish, and it doesn't really get me very far. But hey, in Portugal, in Spain, you communicate with your hands. I use my hands a lot when speaking. I'm sure Inês will be seeing lots of your hands as well. Hey, let's roll. So, from Portugal originally, and we'll go back a bit into your career, but how long have you lived in the UK?
I've been in the UK for 11 years now. 11 years ago, when I first came, the plan was just to stay for a couple of years and then return back to Portugal. But it kind of turned out to be a wonderful lifelong plan, I guess.
Well, clearly it's the English weather. You know, you come from beautiful Portugal and you come to England and you've got the English weather and you've stayed for 11 years. Gosh, you must have got used to it. However, I did experience in Portugal, you're close to the Atlantic, and so you do get, I guess, an amount of rain and cold wind there as well as fantastic waves in Nazaré. Now, let's go back to this bit. So, Head of Portfolio Management at RxCelerate. Firstly, tell us a bit about RxCelerate. What does RxCelerate do?
So RxCelerate is an outsourced drug discovery and development company. We are based in Cambridge, UK. We offer fully integrated or standalone programs that are tailored to our clients' scientific goals. We take a lot of pride in the fact that we work collaboratively with our clients. Our capabilities include in silico design, antibody discovery, medicinal chemistry, bioanalysis, in vitro preclinical studies, and also project management support. It's the whole having under one roof the expert teams, the combination between the expert teams and our proprietary technologies that allows us to design and deliver the optimal strategy that will then, turn our clients' promising discoveries into novel therapeutics. And wow. I guess that for those listening to the podcast, if you are interested in knowing a little bit more about us, you can always visit our webpage, rxcelerate.com.
Fantastic, Inês. And it's about, helping other organizations as well accelerate their development to change the lives of people around the world again. So love it. And so Head of Portfolio Management, obviously a lot of heavy science going on there. And you're on portfolio management. What do you do exactly as Head of Portfolio Management?
So before I kind of dive into my actual role, I would like to start by mentioning as well that when I first started at RxCelerate, the portfolio management function was not there. It did not existed. This function was created as well as in response to RxCelerate's remarkable growth over the past years. And when I stepped into this role, and I mean, you've been with me as well for some of these career progressions of mine, you've witnessed it first row. When I stepped into this role of head of portfolio management, my vision initially was I wanted to create a function that would truly partner up with the business. So something that would not only be focused on managing the projects, but also enabling growth, innovation, and operational excellence. Setting this up obviously would not have been possible without the wonderful support of the senior management team. And today, the portfolio management team is central to how RxCelerate operates. So in essence, we oversee internal R&D and innovation processes. We make sure that great ideas that emerge across the business are nurtured and developed into opportunities. I will kind of dive into a little bit of this probably later on what else are we doing. We also provide internal project management support with client FTE agreements and programs to ensure that the delivery is aligned with the client's expectations and to bring more value to the client. And, beyond even the project delivery, we also bring visibility and clarity to the leadership through collation of metrics, dashboards, reporting. We support internal operations. We are basically the providers of support for Smartsheet environment as well. We maintain Smartsheet, we develop assets, resolve issues. So yeah, in short, we are more than the processes, more than the
Oh,
process.
in
is
short,
it's a
Inês,
lot of things.
it is a lot. And again, I've had a career in industry in project and portfolio management. Because there's the strategy into execution. Portfolio management is absolutely about making it happen and supporting a business. And this is the wonderful thing that you can have the best scientists in the world, you can have the best products in the world, but you've got to get it to market, you've got to have the processes in place. And it goes back to what is the role of project, program, portfolio management in that bit. And it's about clearing the roadblocks, helping others be able to excel at their roles by giving them that structure and focus on that. I just want to go back to, therefore, because your career, very different to mine. So whilst I was head of project management in part of the consumer healthcare business at GlaxoSmithKline, I don't have a scientific background at all. I'm a linguist. Yeah, I was running project management there, so I had no idea on the science that people were doing. You, however, have quite an interesting background as well. So not only are you doing all that on the project and portfolio management in a heavy scientific organization, but I think you've got a bit of a background in science as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I feel like my career path shows just how to change so many times of things that you want to do. But yeah, so I did biology at the University of Coimbra, where I'm from. And when I finished my undergrad, I went straight to PhD. I had a wonderful opportunity at the time to have a what we call sandwich PhD, where I would spend half of the time in the University of Coimbra, but the other half also abroad. In this case, I spent time at the University of Minnesota, Duluth campus, where I've learned a lot. And after when I finished my PhD, I wanted to still do research, but leave wet lab. And I wanted to pursue bioinformatics. Yeah, at this point, I had an opportunity to join the team at the Medical and Molecular Genetics Department at King's College in London, where I stayed for 5 years and I worked as a bioinformatician for the Lilly Foundation.
Oh.
And it was a very rewarding job. I met wonderful people. I was able to do a lot of this translational work with both clinicians, talk to and see the impact of the research and the work that I was doing in the patients. Basically, what I've done during that period of time was I developed a bioinformatics pipeline that supported the genetic diagnosis of patients with suspected mitochondrial disease. Yeah, so I have a little bit of that wet lab
A
knowledge.
little bit of science, okay, a bit of a PhD, and wow, many years of that. Wow.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then after these 5 years, I had a very enlightening conversation at the time with my land manager at the time, Michael Simpson, who said, "Oh, what you're good as is you're good with people, you're organized. I think that you could pursue a career in project management." And there was an opportunity at the time in the dermatology department to pursue a job role as a research project manager. And I thought, I mean, why not, right? I've done wet lab, I've done bioinformatics. Why not have a little bit of this experience? And I think it was really eye-opening for me to see after all of those years to feel like, oh, actually, I do fit in. This is what I love to do. This is my thing. So, yeah, I stayed for 3 years in the dermatology department. And then over time, once I understood that, my passion was that, and I also wanted to enable organizations to deliver their best work through strategy and structure and leadership, then I thought, okay, it's time for me to move into project management in the biotech sector. And that's how I've joined RxCelerate at the time as a project manager. So 3 years ago, I started as a project manager and I was working with supporting clients through critical milestones like IND submissions, build stronger bridges between the technical teams. Yeah, and today I'm the head of portfolio management here at RxCelerate.
Brilliant. And I think again, yes, you got a promotion, based on, I guess, delivering fantastic work, which is so wonderful to hear. And I'll just sort of re-emphasize that point. Having that background in science and then bringing on the leadership side. So it's having the expertise, but having the leadership side. And for me, project management is about leadership. I came to project management from a career in the military. Again, I think is it because I'm just like to be in charge of things? I don't know. But again, I like to make things happen. And Inês, having the science and that side, I love hearing that because this is a differentiator and just makes you so much more powerful in the role you do. Now, you described your role. That's pretty busy. Outside of work, again, presumably you don't have time for anything else. So, that must take up all your time.
You would assume so, right? But then I have a little mini me 4 year old just running around that needs also my attention. And I do have my passion for, strength training, weightlifting and kickboxing now. So yeah, there is. I always say this. During the pandemic, a lot of people kind of shifted things in their life, right? I was already into sports before, but since the pandemic, it made me more of a gym addict. So when we moved house to the Cambridge area, after when I started my job at RxCelerate, we decided to build a home gym. And that was the first priority for us. So that tells you.
Brilliant. Well, and I guess also, Inês, to fit it all in, again, to lead a very active family life, to do all the sport, and have, again, I guess, a social life on top of that with all the work commitments, you need to be very organised. And I always have massive respect. Again, when I led a team, the mothers in that team, I couldn't believe how they fitted it all in. And I just have so much respect for that. Really impressive. Now, so previously, and we've spoken a few times before, I've had the pleasure of running a webinar with you, and I've seen you in action at a user group, and usually you're with Gundeep, who we've mentioned before. So our journey, and again, when I first met you and Gundeep, you started to explore Smartsheet. Tell us why you started to explore Smartsheet. What was the trigger for that, and how was RxCelerate operating at the time?
So at the time when both Gundeep and myself joined the company, the RxCelerate was also expanding. And with this rapid growth of the company, also the need to have our processes standardized was highlighted, not only to support the expansion as it was happening, but also to accommodate for future expansion. So we also wanted to centralize our information and have everything in one system that would allow for that visibility and transparency. And we wanted to streamline our workflow so we could also efficiently handle key business activities. And Smartsheet was the tool that we chose to achieve this.
Well, and just going back to it is so true of many organizations that as they expand, It's about they've got a brilliant idea, they've got a brilliant team of people, and everything's possible, and you make it happen. But as you say, as companies grow, suddenly there's a need for greater structure. When there's greater investment, there's greater accountability. So there is that need of when project management comes in, and this is where many clients who we work with, it is they get to that point where we go, we need better visibility, but we don't want it to slow us down. We want it to accelerate us. And that's the thing. I mean, I love it, RxCelerate. And for us, we've been trying to help you guys accelerate. And therefore, you looked into Smartsheet. And again, you looked at a variety of different options. What was it that Smartsheet had that made you select Smartsheet above the other options you evaluated?
Yeah, so at the time, Gundip and myself, we initially obviously gathered the requirements from the different stakeholders across the business to have a clear idea of what the needs were and define those needs. And we shortlisted 3 main project management tools that were then trialed by our project management team. And the assessment at the time didn't focus only on RxCelerate's core requirements, but we also were interested in assessing interface design, customer support, training resources, and overall user experience, which for Gandip and myself were critical factors to ensure user adoption of a new software. So we also organized some demos with representatives of the different departments, and here also shout out to Yasmin, our customer support manager, and she was amazing with helping us with the demos and setting things up as well, and helping us with the training. And to be honest with you, among all the options, Smartsheet really stood out. It met not only all the business requirements, but everything else from the interface design, user friendly. It checked all the boxes, really. For me, the cherry on top of the cake is that it offers that flexibility to tailor the platform to our processes. This adaptability, it was particularly exciting for me. And the fact that we could design the system and to support our ways of working was great. So all of this was within the decision making, but it really stood out.
Brilliant. And it is, having come from industry, the reason why I selected to work with Smartsheet is absolutely that flexibility. Having run projects, programs, portfolios, I knew what I wanted. And suddenly, rather than it saying, no, this is how you're going to run your projects based on a system which says that's how you do it, I knew what I wanted. And suddenly, Smartsheet gave me that flexibility too. And that's why I'd built all these different template sets and assets. And I think that's also part of in the demonstrations. I was very lucky to be given the opportunity to present to you guys. And I think we hit it off. It started of a wonderful relationship. And it was, I think you could see that project management side of, that's what I want. Oh, and Rich, can we change this? Of course you can. And that's been the beauty. So, Inês, getting started though, this is always the challenge. And yes, for many organizations, they go, well, no, I just want a system and it's pre-built, it's out of the box, and I do it that way. Versus Smartsheet, other people go, well, it's a blank sheet of paper. So Smartsheet as a platform for PMO, as you've said, there's many great reasons why. And yes, I might be biased because I'm a Smartsheet partner, but I deliberately selected it because I could see what it could do. Can you just talk us through the journey of getting started? How do you go about setting things up?
Yes, it was quite a journey. It has been. It's still ongoing to some extent. And I have definitely learned a lot during these last couple of years. I think it's important as well, for me personally, when I kind of embarked in this journey, there were 2 main key missions for me. One was to bring a project management tool that could support RxCelerate's growth, as I mentioned. And the second one was to integrate and standardize our processes, with particular focus initially on the work intake and our quotation processes. So to the first mission, after Gandip and I selected Smartsheet, we collaborated, and that's the piece where we really worked closely together to set up this company-wide training where Yasmin also played a crucial role. and engaging with other departments to showcase the potential of the tool. And for this case, both into the project management side of things, which more Gandeep side, and the process integration perspective, which was more on my end of the task. And we also worked collaboratively with other departments to show them not only the potential, what else they could achieve. In parallel, at the time, I was also designing the process workflows and building the solution with you guys, with the productive team. Long hours of back and forth. So for that process integration part, the journey started with me kind of completing that high level as is process map, right? Is I needed to gather how are the processes functioning now, and try to elaborate that first draft that I could then configure the solution within Smartsheet with productive support. And then from then onwards, as you well know, Rich, there was a lot of series of interactions, meetings with internal teams, meeting with you guys to actually integrate that vision into that platform. And a year into it, I was ready to roll out the processes. And, to support the teams, I've created detailed guides. I have provided detailed workflows, but simplified versions as well. All of this material was revised as well. It was a lot of involvement from the teams internally as well. A lot.
And what was fantastic is we showed you our advanced project management solution. You also took the resource management module at the time, which was a very important piece to you. And what we loved is you took and ran with our solution set. And then it was that ability, but can we modify this, modify that? And actually for us, it was that journey. I remember we first kicked off and the idea was to have everything up and running within 8 weeks. And we do work incredibly fast. But then you also had that realization going in of, actually, now we can see we can do this. You were refining your processes as you go. So it was that piece of when do you have the processes locked down before you start? Versus when do you realize that technology will change your processes as well? And I think what I found most powerful is you guys therefore embraced it. And not only did you say, right, productive, this is what we want you to do. You instead also went looking and learning and embracing it. So it wasn't just a case of outsourcing the work to us. You were learning, and therefore it took longer because we had a lot of conversations. But for me, I always say, go slow to go fast, in that we slowed down, you guys learned and then came back with more questions and more questions. What that means is a better outcome in the end. And whilst the overall implementation cycle took longer, and there are various reasons, and a summer fell in between and all these things, Inês, that suddenly you end up with a much better result because you've thought it through. And it is hard when you're designing processes on the fly, as you know.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And to that, and I know that I've mentioned this in the past as well, for me personally, it's been an amazing journey as well with that learning curve, right? And it wouldn't be without you and the productive team, because as you say, it's not only like outsourcing something and say, all right, you know what, here's our requirement, do it, and then come back to us when our vision is done and dusted and we can start the work. But it was all about, I remember you pushing us, say, give it a try. Let me show you how you do it. And we had a lot of sessions like this online, right? We had a lot of sessions where I would come to you with a problem and you would just say, and sometimes, it was a bit frustrating for me. It was like, oh my God, I just want you to do it. At the same time, then later on, I did appreciate that, right? It's like, no, he's right. Rich is right. I'm glad because you understand better, right? You understand the system better. And then I was building these processes on the fly while building and integrating into a system that I knew nothing about at the time. So by learning how the system operates, by having you go and try it, you go and learn it, it really helped me see, okay, now I'm able to understand what I need to do to achieve X, Y, and Z. It was brilliant.
And I laugh because my sons, who are now grown up, but I laugh because you can imagine these guys sort of growing up saying, Dad, how do you do this? I was like, well, how do you think you do it? And to have give it a go. And they're like, no, Dad, can you just tell me? And I'm like, let's learn. And it's painful at the time. And yes, they'll be very frustrated with me at the time. But it is, yes, I challenge. The role for us at Productive isn't give people the simple solution. It's give a solution that sticks, that sustains. And for us, that's what we see. We know for the long term, if you understand it, you'll embrace it, and then you can be the ambassadors of it to your organization versus, oh, quick fix. Oh, you've got a problem? Come back to us. No, our goal is to ensure that you are able to drive it, own it, and take it further, and then use us for the specialist stuff, which doesn't make sense for you to learn. So let's just go back to, again, having moved from to, what are some of the benefits you've seen as a result, therefore? So you say 3 years in, what are some of the benefits now you're realizing as an organization by having a Smartsheet solution in place?
Yeah, so I like to kind of break them down into different levels in terms of the benefits and impact that it had. One has to do with that visibility and transparency. We're now able to have this centralized pool of information that was one of the very early stage benefits that we were hoping to achieve, that where we can have real-time information as well that is visible company-wide, which is absolutely brilliant. And then another level is at the processes level, right? Processes that in the past they were a little bit more laborious because they involved a lot more manual input from the teams. They are now more streamlined and automated. They are standardized. Everyone is doing the same thing. And also, obviously, this is wonderful because it also frees up the technical teams to focus on higher value work rather than these admin tasks, right? And then there is the metrics piece. Obviously, with everything being in one centralized system, we're able to collect a lot of very useful data that not only allows us to identify potential areas of improvements within our processes, but also to analyze important business metrics that will be, used for supporting decisions. And there is the collaboration part. It's been great to see the collaborative work, especially across departments and also externally with some of our clients that are benefiting from some of these processes as well. So yeah,
Wow.
you can see a huge, huge impact.
And one of the things we always talk about with Smartsheet is, well, one is Ohio. Anyone who works with me tends to hear me talk about Ohio, only handle it once. I heard it from someone else. I
Yeah.
can't remember who told it to me, and many people said, Rich, I'm going to take that from you. And I'm like, someone else. It's someone else. I can't remember who to thank for Ohio. But it is only handle it once. And Inesh, that's been one of the pieces which we go for of people do the work once. Get them to work on the higher value, not writing it again or having to write it and get it wrong because then you've got error and transcription, etc. But the most important bit, which I love, is where the work's happening, there's the management visibility. So it is make it easier for people to collaborate, know what they've got to do and get that work done, understand the status of the work, and then the management teams to see what's going on. This is the power. And I guess your role in portfolio management is how do you bring it together and do it as seamlessly as possible. And that's why I love Smartsheet. Again, having worked in project management in organizations, because you're not doing separate management reporting, you're just reporting on the work that's truly happening. And that for me is the power. The other piece is about the visibility. So doing contracting with external organizations, that visibility, the fact that you've got a flexible platform where they can see and you can share information, and you're doing project after project after project after project. And so it's not suddenly just a big, long, chunky project, but how do you do it and how do you get started immediately? Everyone knows new opportunity coming in, new piece of work, exactly know how to do it. So you're not worrying about the process, you're getting on with the work. Time to value is so much faster.
Yes, exactly.
So user adoption, this is a hard piece because I know how enthusiastic I get when I can see the opportunity. And we first meet and I'm saying, Inesh, Smartsheet's going to change your life. And you're like, yeah, right, okay. That's what the people in these other tools said to us. Yeah, right, really. And then I start showing it and I get very excited. And then suddenly you see it and then you're very excited. You go back to the organization and they're going, oh, okay, shiny new tool, really? Okay, this will go as well. We'll just humor her for a while. But 3 years on, you're still doing it. How do you take people on that journey of user adoption?
Yeah, that was a learning a lot for me as well. It was a learning curve. I always tried to be very clear about the why. Why is the change needed? Why are we doing this? And sometimes it does require us to even remind ourselves leading these projects, right? On why we're doing this, what's our mission. But not only that, it was, for me, from my experience, it was also very important that I tried to adopt this approach of joint ownership. This is not a process for me. This is not something for me for my individual benefit. This is something that we can all benefit from. So let's try and see how can each one of us benefit from this. And always, obviously, sometimes is a bit of a leap of faith. Trust that once the processes are done and dusted, it will free up your time. And now I see that people now start having that trust, right? And I understand that change can be unsettling. It certainly is for everyone, but some people react better than others. It's very human. So I try to always also embrace this as in share your worries, share your concerns. This is a safe space. Whatever you're worried with, at least if I can do something to put your mind at ease, let me do it. And I think it worked. It worked very well. Obviously, also it really helped having senior management support throughout the
Totally
whole
agree.
project, right? And championing this initiative and highlighting the importance of this. It was definitely key as well to securing that stakeholder buy-in. But I tried more also on the human side of, okay, we're together. Any worries, any concerns, let's speak up. Let's see what we can do to make it better and easier with the transition, with everything.
I think, as you said, actually, even from the point of valuation, you took people along the journey with you. You got them to look at it. And again, I like to bring people in, but I help them see, but ultimately the decision sits with me. Again, so I use it as a reference point, and then they feel involved appropriately. But you can't, it doesn't suddenly become, oh, everyone's got the same decision rights as well. So you do, as a leader, need to make those pieces, those calls. As you say, we've worked with many organisations where we see implementations succeed is when the leadership realise the value of it and they support it. Because yes, a lot of people go, yeah, do I really need to change? And so that's a big catalyst, really important and absolutely evident that the senior leadership, they wanted it, they needed it. And so they supported, and that's why they brought you and Gundeep into the organisation as well, saying catalyst for change. But the other piece is also what's in it for me. We call it, the within of individuals going, is this making my life easier or harder? And I remember, Gundeep, it made me laugh when he used to talk about the resource management that people used to enjoy doing their timesheets more than they did previously. And I've got to say, it's the first time I've ever heard that, but using the resource management tool that actually, because people see it was making their lives easier, they could get onto the work that they've joined to do. They've got the chance to do the science that they want to do. They're not worrying about the paperwork in the same way, or they're doing the appropriate paperwork without being chased or double entry on that. So, Inês, I guess going back to, we've already said that you and Gundeep both kind of embraced Smartsheet, started using it. And I think it's the flexibility of the platform that because it can do so much more, it's not just a project management tool. That's also part of the longevity of it with an organization. So showing that to other people in the organization, they go, oh, I can do this. Maybe I can do it this, and this can help me. How else and where else is Smartsheet being used in the organization above and beyond just as a project portfolio management platform?
I guess that the question could be where isn't being used as well. We have been doing some really exciting things with Smartsheet across the business. I'll give you some examples of what some of these look like. So within our operations team, process like shipments, deliveries, as well as the facilities management log with some neat automations featured in, have been fully integrated into the platform. Other areas include the cell product workflow, the auditing in our CAPA processes. And on the client-facing side, we have started to build also solutions that will streamline specific work models. And a great example of this is a system that was developed by Sam from my team, which allows the clients that work under our FT agreements, they submit the work request directly via Smartsheet forms. They have the capacity to view their backlog and prioritize tasks in real time, while the technical teams have full visibility of the changes made by the client. And this model created this clear bridge between client and internal teams, improve communication, reduce misalignment as well when priorities shift, and freed up the client-facing project managers to focus on supporting the clients rather than chasing missed requests. So it's been really rewarding as well, as you were saying. As we do these things and as we build these things, and I have other people from different teams coming to me, excited to explore possibilities and solutions and streamline their own processes. And is, as you say, it's a great example of how Smartsheet empowers both efficiency and innovation across the business on top of the basic functions on
Wow.
project program portfolio management.
Inês, shout out to Sam. I love hearing that. And it is, you come in, you have demonstrated the power of this tool, created that curiosity, and clearly an organization such as RxCelerate, you have some very bright minds, and people are going, surely there's a better way, and people are finding that better way. And as you say, ultimately your mission is to get healthcare to people faster, better, reduce the costs of doing that piece. So for you guys to be able to do that more effectively is a win-win for everyone on that. And I guess it also helps answer the question really of why are you such an advocate for this? Why are you doing this podcast?
Yeah.
You've done a user group, you've done a webinar, and I guess it is because you want to help others, inspire others to also make a difference.
Yes, definitely. And also kind of share that positive impact that Smartsheet had on both my work and the business, the things that I see. If someone had told me 2 years ago that I would be building solutions independently and exploring new ways to leverage the platform to support our Accelerate's growth and strategy, I wouldn't have believed it. And Smartsheet also connected me with brilliant minds. You, Phil, Fiona, Susie, like a lot of it's other clients from Productive as well that I have had the pleasure to meet along the years. Smartsheet team. It's amazing to have these interactions, right? And have these opportunities to also kind of develop. It's absolutely inspiring.
Ines, thank you. And you're right. I mean, for us, I do this because I truly love what I do and I get to meet fantastic people around the world. I genuinely feel like I've made friends around the world. And we met up in London, we went out for dinner after user group. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then we've arranged other dinners just to catch up because we actually thoroughly enjoy each other's company, as well as actually knowing that we're making a difference. And then is be able to connect you guys with other people who are looking to make a difference as well. And then the fact that you're prepared to share your story with others to inspire them to go, actually, you can, and then you can grow within this piece. So, prior episode, met with Tori Turpak, the user group facilitator supreme. And she talked about how she felt like a proud mum seeing you come to a first user group in London when you're just exploring Smartsheet, and then less than a year later, you were on the stage with Gundeep, rocking it, telling your story about what you had done at RxCelerate. And she said she just felt so proud seeing that. It's almost like you're graduating on that. Talk to me a little about user groups. So Tori did tell us more about that, but I'm interested from you as a person, as an attendee, and as a speaker.
Yeah, I remember as well very vividly my first user group. I had basically just heard about Smartsheet and I would say like a tenth of the potential of Smartsheet. I was a newbie, clearly, but it was so nice to sit in that room and listen to other, customer success stories and what they've built. And it gave me clarity as well on what we could potentially achieve, which was really eye-opening. And it was good to have that platform to be able to, especially at that early stage for me in this whole journey, right? I didn't even know. I started like making notes frenetically, just, this is super cool. I want to try this. I want to know more about that. So there's a lot of ideas popping just from sitting in that room and meeting all of the other attendees. And I feel like it's amazing how Smartsheet has been able to create that sense of connection, and people both in user groups but also in the community I see that everyone is very willing to share their experiences, very willing to teach others how to achieve specific goals. And that's amazing. Keeping that information to yourself, you're learning, but you're also allowing others to grow with you and then taking their knowledge as well and keep on your journey. And I found that is absolutely the best.
And it went on to therefore you actually one doing a webinar with us, as I've said, and then to delivering a user group as well. So
Exactly.
delivering a user group, how was that? So for someone who is considering, oh, maybe I could do a user group, how was that experience for you?
It was great experience. It also made me reflect a lot about what do we have to say that will be useful for other users. There's a lot of things that are transferable across industries. That's the other thing that I've learned in the user groups is really amazing to see how sometimes you think that some issues or some gaps you only have within your business, but then by talking to others outside the industry, you can see that these things are common across businesses. So people are trying to find solutions that are common for common issues. And that's the good thing. So it made me reflect about that. And it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to share our story, deep an eye on the things that we've built. We do take a lot of pride on our journey and what we've been able to achieve, both collectively and then obviously individually. And it was amazing to have that opportunity to share that knowledge. And we had so many good interactions after, like a lot of people interested in connecting with us and having that chat and say, oh, I want to know a little bit more. But yeah, it was great.
Inês, and you're hugely generous with your time, but is that philosophy of yours, which is give.
Yeah.
And the magic of giving actually is you get back in abundance and is connecting people. And you guys just get involved in opportunities to do that. Again, when we've held a round table, etc. And is that piece to meet different people along the way. So, Inês, I now go back to the questions I ask everyone. So, what's your advice? Again, you might have covered this already, but just to recap and summarize, what's your advice for someone first starting with Smartsheet?
So, for me, if you want to take the best out of Smartsheet and truly leverage the investment, definitely reach out to Productive.
I haven't paid her to say this. This isn't a sponsored.
Oh no.
Sponsored. Wow.
And I can also attest to the fact that Rich didn't even knew that I was going to say this. But it is true. I have already mentioned before in this conversation, right? I've learned a huge amount. I don't think that I would have understood the ins and outs of the system if it wasn't for, this partnership, this collaboration.
Gosh.
So that would definitely be my first.
Inês, thank you again. I feel very humbled with you saying that. And we spoke about this, about adoption in an organization. Again, what's your one top tip for building success in an organization?
I think there are two main things. One is try and have the buy-in from senior management, definitely. If you can secure that first of all, then I think everything will get smoother. And the second one would be patient. Things take time, especially with projects that may be these big transformational projects. So be patient, trust the process. But yeah, those would be the two main things that I would point out.
And you're so right. Everyone wants it yesterday. They want the solution yesterday, but change takes time. It takes time to bed in, and you learn and you grow. So yes, you improve. And we talk about continuous improvement. And I think actually is also the piece we were just saying before. And then you look back also at the journey you've been on and go, actually, what could we do better? And I think that was one of the fascinating pieces when you're saying about user groups as well, of it got you to look back and reflect of what could you do differently. And this is one of the key points of project management. Learn and improve, continuous improvement. So Smartsheet, you're clearly a pretty handy user and are doing some pretty fantastic things. What's your personal favorite feature within Smartsheet?
I love the AI integrations. I absolutely love those. And I guess that is kind of like me and my team's best friends now.
Tell me more about the AI side, because again, this is relatively new. And yeah, I'm fascinated to hear, why has that become your best friend? How are you using AI, just for those who don't know how AI
Yeah.
is used?
So I really use a lot the formulas if I need to kind of troubleshoot some of the things. Otherwise, I would just be nagging Phil all the time, I guess. And poor Phil, there is a limit for the amount of email that one can receive a mine. And I have been, I mean, obviously, I understand, as with everything with these AI integrations, things are still always evolving, right? But it has been good to see that it does help with like quick things on understanding quick fixes. And the other thing is, whenever I need to just have a very quick plot of the data, just to have a more of a visual, the data analysis piece is quite neat. So yeah, it would be good to see how in the future these AI integrations will look like.
But that's really powerful just to hear that it's just accelerated you and the team. And I guess going back to the adoption question before, is other users, how do you do this and how do you do the formula? Ask AI. How do I get that data into a dashboard? And we know that dashboards are one of the most powerful things within Smartsheet. And you say, oh, well, AI, can you help me create a little chart for that data? And I go, oh, is this what you want? You go, yes. Can we add it into the dashboard? Yes, please. So suddenly these things, I guess, is accelerating that visibility, and you're just able to, as a team, work more, and you're having to help people less because they're able to get to the answers faster.
Definitely.
And then a magic wand moment. If you had your little magic wand, what feature would you add? Or what's your kind of big request to the Smartsheet team? Because they're always working on fantastic innovation. What little thing would you say, guys, if I could have this, it would suddenly make a big difference to me?
For me, at this particular point in time, I would love to, and I'll shake my magic wand, CRM component to Smartsheet. It would, I think, be a good add-on.
Okay. And just tell me a little bit more about the CRM. CRM to you means what?
Client relationship management tool. So yeah, we've been trying to do some integrations of some of the BD processes into Smartsheet as well. And this is some of the characteristics of these systems that obviously we're missing because Smartsheet is not a CRM tool, is a project management tool. I would find it useful, but obviously just because of where I am at this point.
Love it. Inês, thank you. And anything else, I guess, just to wrap up, therefore, anything else that you, the team, or RxCelerate have got coming up that you just want to highlight, or anyone in the team that you want to give a big shout out to if you haven't mentioned them already?
Yeah, I mean, definitely shout out to my team, to Emma and Sam. They hugely contribute to the success of the portfolio management function. It's not only me. And some of our project managers will also be attending some of project management events over the next few months. So if you are out and about, just please do reach out to them and connect with me as well on LinkedIn. And finally, at RxCelerate, we are continuously investing in R&D so we can deliver, new technology for our clients to use. So yeah, keep an eye on our website and our socials for the latest that we have to offer.
Brilliant. And I'm going to do a big shout out to Gundeep as well. I've always kind of worked with him and you, Inês, but you're now leading separate departments, and it was fantastic. One, starting to work with both of you two, and I think that was a very powerful combination, you working together. But absolutely, now it's separate, and you're doing your separate pieces. And so, Gundeep, sorry to not include you in this podcast, but I wanted Inês all to myself today because she has a fantastic story to share. So, Inês, thank you. You've been hugely generous with your time. But you are always, to the community, to the user groups, to the webinar, thank you for joining us on Smartsheet Unlocked.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there we have it. Inês Barbosa. And I hope and I trust you got a lot out of that. In particular, hearing Inês's journey from first discovering this thing called Smartsheet existed, going to a user group, and then suddenly a year later, presenting at a user group, showing people the power of Smartsheet, and now sharing these learnings with others, where it is how can we help people work more efficiently and the management teams to see what work is happening to drive progress, to accelerate, ultimately delivery, transformation. Now, if you're yet to discover a user group, our prior podcast was with Tori Turpak and we spoke about the user groups, but now we have a presenter who's been at those. And as Inês said, feel free to reach out to her on LinkedIn or speak to her if you're ever at a conference or an event where you see her or one of the RxCelerate team there. And we also hope and trust that Productive that we are making a difference with some of the content we're sharing by doing these podcasts and by the information we put onto YouTube with tips and tricks and solutions. We just want to help people make a difference to accelerate that transformation and unlock that potential. Now, any questions for Inês, please do reach out, as we said, via LinkedIn. And if you've got any questions for us at Productive, please do get in touch. There's a link on the website where the podcast is, and we would love to hear, and we'd love to hear about more guests that you might want to hear from in the future. So thanks for listening, and bye for now.